Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I am Protomario, and today we are reviewing Castlevania Lament of Innocence for the PlayStation 2. This was developed and published exclusively by Konami and produced by Koji, a person I can't say his name. The series follows Castlevania, and the platform that is available is only on the PlayStation 2, unfortunately, for anyone who doesn't have that system. It was released October 21st, 2003 in North America, Japan, November 27th the same year, and in Europe later, February 13th, 2004. The genre that it follows is action-adventure hack-and-slash, much like several other Castlevanias. This game is just another installment in the Castlevania series and follows in the footsteps of the vampire hunter, the Belmont clan, the eternal conflict between the vampire hunters and the immortal Dracula. Lament of Innocence follows specifically the Belmont named Leon as he searches a vampire's castle for his kidnapped betrothed. Yeah, right along in the beginning of the story, you will be introduced to a cutscene, and a whole lot of information is going to be thrown at you right from the beginning. The only difference between most Castlevanias and this one is that this one is obviously in 3D. Look at that, a Castlevania in 3D. And for most game reviewers, this game didn't suck. But with many transitions to 3D, Castlevania has had a real rough time. Unlike Metroid and Zelda, Castlevania just didn't seem to stick the landing like they did. But then again, when you have a much more influential company like Nintendo backing your developmental system, maybe you'll have an easier time developing that 3D title crossover. At any rate, this one isn't bad, but it's not a monumental grand slam out of the park. You might be noticing that this game incorporates a newer system to the Castlevania line, which didn't carry on for a very long time. There's an ability to use something called Relics by blocking with your magical gauntlet. Now, personally, I really don't care for this stuff. It's really stupid if you ask me. And a lot of the relics that you get, some of them are cool, some of them are not. At the very least, the point is when enemies use certain attacks, you block with your gauntlet and you absorb it, and then it gives you mana points. Instead of you just naturally regenerating mana, you have to wait for the enemy to attack you and block it effectively. Now, because this is a 3D platforming and it's a much more difficult game to transfer into 3D, pretty much just blocking at any point in time and waiting for the enemy to hit you will ensure that you get your MP up. So, yeah. As you can see, I'm having a real tough time hopping on the Switch, and that's the main problem with this game. Two problems is the relic system, which is just boring to me personally, and the 2D to 3D aspect, camera, angle, and things of that nature. They're not entirely horrible, and it doesn't break the game. But when you go through the game, you'll definitely feel a transition. And you feel the pain that comes with that transition. Overall, I really did enjoy my time with Castlevania, except there's just one other small problem. What you're seeing on the screen is actually the game. You might be thinking to yourself, something's missing. And you might be right. Because this is a 3D game, it would be really nice to have a mini-map in the corner of the screen so you knew where you were going and you didn't have to constantly consult back and forth. So when I say Castlevania Lament of Innocence, you need to associate that with the word lost, because you're going to be lost a lot and you're going to be pressing the start button, consulting your map consistently throughout the game. This game also does incorporate RPG-esque elements, allowing you to level up and get stronger, allowing you to also collect hearts and use sub-weapons such as the dagger, holy water, and all the natural things that return with Castlevania. You'll be facing an onslaught of enemies such as demons, vampires, wolves, zombies, and knights clad in armor, and other interesting bosses, one of which is the Medusa. Ooh. Yeah, well, the favorites do return to Castlevania. There's some interesting bosses that you'll be facing off with, and the 3D effect doesn't really make it a extremely fun way to play the game, but at least the game's not broken, right? So at least there's that. Overall, the graphics are fairly impressive for the time period. I'll have to give it that. It does look like a pretty nice Castlevania game, with the exception of the cutscenes, which look absolutely horrendous. But the graphics in the game are what do count when you're walking around and looking about, and the graphics do look pretty well. Every character has been really detailed fairly well to a point, and each room, for the most part, doesn't look like recycled garbage, even though there are points in the game where you can tell that they recycled something. For an decently early PlayStation 2 release and a 3D Castlevania game, I would definitely give this a solid B+. But I would say it's not for anyone who overly enjoys the Castlevania series in the 2D aspect, or newcomers to the Castlevania series. The sound still sounds great. It does feature some great Castlevania music, just like traditionally it would, and the voice acting is still as cheesy as ever. At any rate, you won't be grinding your ears or muting your TV, which is a very good thing. Controls, once again, the only thing this game really suffers from is the terrible camera angles that you do face from time to time. Not all the time are they terrible, but I just keep finding myself wanting to be behind the guy and actually seeing what's going on instead of an overview camera angle. And there may be a way or two to shift the camera angle, but personally I couldn't find it. And at some points in time it can be really, really bothersome. Overall, gameplay and replay value, I would suggest that you probably only play this game one time through unless you're a hardcore Castlevania devotee, and in which case you may play it through 2 or 3 times for the simple fact that you're a fanboy. But at the bottom line, this isn't a game for